Good afternoon on what is a mild, bright and blustery day. It is Tuesday the May the 16th and I've got a nice cup of tea. And parcel to unbox. So let's get this one open. And what I've got in here is a copy of Bayt al Azif, a magazine for Call of Cthulhu Mythos role-playing games. This is issue number 5. So, a magazine devoted to the cosmic horror of Cthulhu Mythos role-playing games. 2 new adventures ranging from the darkest days of the Trojan War to the golden age of piracy. Reviews, interviews, advice, history, comics and more. And this is surprisingly so. We have on the back, you've got the quick blurb. Then you've got all the compatibility listings, so it's actually so Call of Cthulhu, Gumshoe, so that's Trailer Cthulhu, Cthulhu Dark, and then it's also compatible with Pirate Borge, which is the role-playing game based upon Borge, the Doom Punk, old school Renaissance style retro clone, but in a pirate setting. So what have we got in Bayt al Azif? This is issue 5. It's got going and it's done some really nice scenarios. A lot of it come out of the German Call of Cthulhu community, translated to English. You know, and there's been a tradition of that with previous magazines like Worlds of Cthulhu. So inside, full list of the contents. Basically, you've got the editorial sacrifices, the letters page, and then we have Cthulhu in 2021. So this is 2023. Cthulhu in 2021. This is a retrospective by Dean Engelhardt, and this is just getting back over what came out in 2021. And it's sometimes we kind of forget just how lucky we are with the amount of content that is coming out for Lovecraftian investigative role-playing games. So, okay, so we start off with Delta Green, and then we quickly move on to the anniversary editions of Call of Cthulhu, and the reprints, and the historical H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society Classic Prop Set, which is fantastic. Not as good as the one they did for Master of None, partly because it is less physical. And then other Chaosium books. Some of these reviewed, some of I haven't. Modiphius, Peterson Games. So that, you know, this is for the 2D20 system with a new version of Acting Cthulhu. Peterson Games, writing for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. And then we have other licensed Call of Cthulhu products. And here we get into the magazines and sort of like the smaller publishers. Stygian Fox, Sons of the Singularity. Stygian Fox, interesting publisher. Not the quality of their content does vary. I'm not going to, you know, and that's being fair. A lot of the patron stuff they do is a bit rushed and underdeveloped, and honestly not to be recommended. But their bigger hardback books are actually decent. So things like Occam's Razor is not bad. Tales of the Miskatonic Valley is excellent. That's a fantastic reprint if you can find it. Sons of the Singularity, who are exploring different parts of the world through the lens of the Call of Cthulhu. So, for example, with Journal de l'Indochine, explores French Indochina, both before and after World War II. And that's a whole new area which we don't normally see covered in Call of Cthulhu. And New Covenant Games, and of course, Corsairs of Cthulhu. You will find I've done an unboxing of many of these titles, including Corsairs of Cthulhu, and I've also done a review of it. And it's the only pirate supplement, or piracy supplement for Call of Cthulhu, and it has again issues. It's also actually sort of like all the the content about being a pirate and all that background is fine. The content connected to Cthulhu is variable of quality and content. Anyway, moving on. Pelgrane Press. with the excellent Fearful Symmetries, fantastic Between the Wars campaign setting, inspired by the works of William Blakes. And then we've got some of the titles from the Miskatonic repository. So many, there are 1,000 titles on there now. It's almost impossible to keep up. Other titles, some of these I've reviewed, some of I haven't, some I've not had a chance to look at. But you know, I mean, so for example, yes, Nook the Fanzine in the Future, yes I have. Fate of Cthulhu, yes I have. And so on. And for me, this is all interesting stuff. Essentially, you know, you're looking back again. Did I miss this? Have I talked about this? Have I reviewed this? I mean, that's from me personally. Other people are going, oh, have I missed this because I want to play it? I want to read it. I am, you know, I definitely don't want to go and, you know, review all of the content that I haven't seen. Notes on future Kickstarters. I've just done a review of the quick start for that. I mean, you know, I know this is going out in 2024, but this is 2023. Yes, that is ridiculous. Interesting piece, Mythos on the Emergency, and if that's going to be interesting article. Very contemporary. Oh, so just put this back up, shall I? There we go. Back up in pride of place, and then we have the Trojan War scenario. And the ancient world is not something that is particularly well explored in Call of Cthulhu outside of Cthulhu Invictus. So a scenario set much earlier during the ancient world are going to be interesting, you know, for you know, as a one shot. So you know, we've got content warning, terminology, and rules, because we're going to have to need the rules for a different setting. And what's interesting, what I like about this is the fact it's another evidence of sort of like the willingness of the German Call of Cthulhu hobby to explore other settings and bring them to print that not often we see in you know, in English-speaking content. So you know, much to be, you know, praised there, just for the inventiveness and, you know, willingness to explore. And here we've got basic backgrounds to the pre-generated characters and personalities, monsters, and hangouts and so on. It's not looking particularly enticing off the page, but I'm sure once you sort of dig into it and read it, it's going to be good. Then we have Ave at Salve, why you should be playing Cthulhu Invictus. A little bit of a piece of advertising piece from Oscar Rios. That's fine. There is lots to recommend it with Cthulhu Invictus. You know, it's a fundamentally different setting, and it plays into that. You know, it's the major setting that of the ancient world that is being explored through the Cthulhu Mythos. Continuing cartoon strip, Grave Spirits. And then we have Designers and Dragons next. This is a lengthy piece by Shannon Applesign. This is an interview with the authors at Arc Dream Publishing, and charting some of the publisher's history, you know, with Delta Green and so on, exploring how it's developed since Arc Dream has taken over. Arc Dream is the same kind of essentially the same team as Pelgrane Press, sorry, not Pelgrane, Pagan Publishing, who originally published Delta Green for a new system, and then we have interview with John Scott Tynes, one of the co-creators of Delta Green, and then with Shane Ivey, who is the publisher behind Arc Dream Press. We've got a Call of the Fang, vampires in Call of Cthulhu, and it's, you know, we've got to look at the Shunned House, the Lovecraft story, and it's how it approached vampires. And so Mythos monster or vampire, interesting parallels drawing between the creatures of the Mythos and the vampire legend. And so on. And it all depends whether or not how you want to equate vampires in your campaign, whether or not you want straightforward vampires in there along with the mythos and so on. 3 clue rules, basically a guide to creating clues and so on in setting up a scenario. And then discussion of the publication of consent in gaming, which is a useful document for any type of gaming. You know, discussing what and what you can't handle in your gaming. Also, basically, what you can and can't address in your gaming in play. You know, really setting that up, discussing that up before you start playing. We have an advert here for 60 Stone Press. It's an interesting series of books here. So the weapons books are fantastic source books for Call of Cthulhu. If you want more detail for your weapons, if you don't buy, you don't need them, but they do add a sense of verisimilitude there if you want. Black Seal is the much missed fanzine / magazine for Call of Cthulhu, and then we have Tentaculus. I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I don't speak Spanish, so that's a look at Call of Cthulhu in Spain. And what's one of the great things about Bayt al Azif is that it does actually go out and get interesting articles about gaming and Call of Cthulhu in different countries. It's done Finland, it's done, I can't remember if it's done Japan, where Call of Cthulhu is very popular. Because sometimes we kind of forget that the Call of Cthulhu is played outside of the English-speaking language. It's in some places it's as popular, if not more so, than in the English-speaking world. Anyway, the Human Element, Good Starter Scenarios by Lisa Podol. And then so I've got a couple of their suggestions. I think these are possibly these are big challenges, I think, in some cases. And then we have Simplistic Good Starter Scenarios by Paul Fricker. I think that's going to be a bit more useful for you. I mean, I could write one of those myself. Then Dead Man's Chest, we have the Golden Age Piracy Scenario. So this is going to do the same as the scenario in there earlier in the issue for the Trojan Wars, but for Golden Age Piracy. So we're going to have rules for things, new skills, so on, and then ship handling, and you're kind of going, yep. I mean, the thing is, this is in line with you've got, and what have you got coming out? Of course, there's a Cthulhu come out. Then you've got Cursed Captains of Cthulhu coming out reasonably soon from Black Cats Gaming. The so you're kind of going, I really could do with just one good supplement for piracy in the Age of Cthulhu that everyone else can refer to. Rather than almost reproducing the sort of like different rules to handle the same thing each time. But that's the situation of what it is. So we've got the scenario. With this sort of cartoonish style artwork, and then we've got the pre-generated character backgrounds with personalities and monsters, and so on, and the list of all the contributors at the back, which is a nice little potted history of each one. I think that's a really nice addition. And it's quite lengthy. So yeah, that's Bayt al Azif, Volume 5. I think it's got lots of interesting things in there. I think if you're a Call of Cthulhu fan, you're definitely going to want to read this, and you'll enjoy it because it's lots of different things. It's like a miscellany of for Call of Cthulhu, that comes out once in a while, and worth reading. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings out here in the Nook, where you'll see me with a parcel containing a book or game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. Be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.